Well, we'll call a spade here, and I think that is a large part of the rub. When you combine that with the astronomical price tags of these vehicles today and their lackluster quality, people just aren't buying them with confidence. If it did have the 5.7 liter V8, that glorious V8 that we have grown to love and really appreciate over the years, if that was an option in this, you tell me, would you buy it? Back in 2020, a $50,000 vehicle is equivalent to a $62,000 vehicle today. I think these look incredible. I just refuse to buy one because you only get that hybridized 2.4 liter four-cylinder underneath the hood, a turbocharged four-banger underneath the hood that just does not feel right, and it does not feel Toyota to me. Jeep Wrangler 392 is sporting that 6.4 liter Hemi V8. Unfortunately, the price tag, $97,000. So you tell me, would you be pretty upset if you did buy a technical final edition version of a vehicle only for them to bring it back a year later? There really is no excuse for Toyota not to bring back the naturally aspirated V6 for the Toyota Tacoma and the Toyota 4Runner, as well as the Land Cruiser, of course. I want simplicity, I want affordability, and most importantly, I want reliability. Is that much to ask for? Untamed here. We have some exciting news coming out of Jeep. Jeep CEO announced that they will be bringing that 6.4 liter Hemi V8 back to other platforms. So of course, bringing it back to the Jeep Wrangler 392, but they're also going to be offering a Jeep Gladiator 392 with that glorious 6.4 liter Hemi V8. Sporting 470 horsepower. It really is a brute of an engine. So it's pretty exciting to see them offer it in the Gladiator here with the truck bed out back. So I know a lot of folks are going to be pretty excited about that. I know I am. I think that's a pretty awesome statement to be making. They might be offering their V8 options, a 5.7 liter Hemi V8 and that 6.4, perhaps in the Grand Cherokee again. Jeep owners want options, and they want to give those options to Jeep owners moving forward. So that is really good news. Personally, actually owned a Jeep Wrangler 392. The pain point for the 392 is the price tag. They cost way too much. Jeep in particular actually had a 54% MSRP price increase across their lineup on average since 2019. That's actually the highest of any vehicle manufacturer. The national average is 42% across their entire lineups. That's since 2019 anyway. So Jeep, that is proving to their detriment, right? I mean, we see so many dealerships that look like this, just lines upon lines of unsold Jeeps. You have a number more over here. A number of Wranglers, of course, only a handful of Gladiators on this particular lot, but I do think that a 392 version of the Gladiator will actually sell a little bit better because people love having the utility of a truck bed. Obviously, the Wrangler itself is a little bit better off-road, not as long, of course, comparatively to that Gladiator, so better off-road, but for everyday use, I think people will appreciate the Gladiator form of it. For fun, I do want to remind you guys how much they want for these Jeep Wrangler Rubicons here. This is not the 392, mind you. This one here, Rubicon 4x4, this is the X model, if you will, and hopefully you can see it there, but we have a price tag of just under $74,000. That's a big part of the problem. These are built out of Toledo, Ohio, so it gets some style points. Fellow Americans are still building this, and they take tremendous pride in building these vehicles out of Ohio. So I love that. We don't have them outsourcing so much of their production just yet to cheaper labor countries, so I really appreciate Jeep for maintaining that. The problem though is with Stellantis at large, they have developed a pretty poor reputation with reliability and quality products. Let's face it, right? I mean, we'll call a spade here, and I think that is a large part of the rub. When you combine that with the astronomical price tags of these vehicles today and their lackluster quality, people just aren't buying them with confidence, and that's a shame because this truly is an American icon, and I respect it for that reason. Guys, tell me the truth. Would you buy this if it had a nice Hemi V8 underneath the hood? Really, I think that's kind of the last iteration of Grand Cherokees that I actually appreciated when they actually sported a naturally aspirated V8. It just made sense in this platform. So if they brought that back, that'd be pretty incredible. Here we happen to have an example of a Jeep Wrangler 392 sporting that 6.4 liter Hemi V8. Unfortunately, the price tag, $97,000. That is a huge rub for people trying to buy this. If this really was between $60,000 and $70,000, these would fly off the shelf. It's pretty common to see these come with about an $8,000 to $10,000 off discount pretty easily without too much negotiation. I got that about that much. I think it's $11,000 I got off my 392, about a year ago at this point. That was the final edition. This one here is not a final edition, but price point is about $6,000 apart MSRP wise. So you tell me, would you spend six figures for a Jeep Wrangler? Admit though, seeing the Jeep Wrangler 392 coming in this 41 color, this 41 green color, it just looks right. I think they're technically referring to it as green, more of a brown of course, but I really like it. So it is tempting to get one of them, especially if it came with a $15,000 off discount. maybe trying my hand at one of them again, because I can tell you honestly, having owned a number of Ford F-150 Raptors before, driven the Bronco Raptor, the 392 version of the Wrangler really was the most thrilling vehicle that I've ever driven. I can tell you that honestly. It's no news that Ram is bringing back the Ram TRX with the supercharged 6.2 liter V8. So people are stoked, of course, that that's coming back. But again, you got some people who are a little upset because there was a final edition that was in 2024. Just like the Wrangler 392, there was a final edition. Decals all over it that said final edition. It's kind of a a marketing ploy to get people to buy the last iteration, the last wave of the V8. But now they're bringing it back. So you tell me, would you be pretty upset if you did buy a technical final edition version of a vehicle only for them to bring it back a year later with the same engine and perhaps even a little bit better? How upset would you be? Now let's face it, guys, the value of the dollar continues to decrease by the day, it seems, right? Back in 2020, a $50,000 vehicle is equivalent to a $62,000 vehicle today. A $100,000 vehicle back in 2020 is equivalent to a $124,000 vehicle. That's just the difference in the value of the dollar over the last 5 years. And that's pretty sickening to say out loud, but you got to keep that in mind. Unfortunately, when you look at the values and price tags of these vehicles, that's our reality. There really is no excuse for Toyota not to bring back the naturally aspirated V6 for the Toyota Tacoma and the Toyota 4Runner, as well as the Land Cruiser, of course. Personally, I would commit to buying a new Tacoma or that new 4Runner over there if it did come with that old trusty, that old reliable 4-liter naturally aspirated V6. I'd commit to buying one. How about you guys? Well, let's face it, people aren't too interested in the new Tundra here, largely thanks to that main crankshaft bearing, that large safety recall that was issued on it. This here doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Sure, the performance numbers technically are better, but people who buy Toyotas, they're not buying them for what they read in the brochure. They're not buying them because of their horsepower and torque. They're buying them because they know that they can start this vehicle and it's going to run. No matter what the weather conditions are, this is never going to leave them stranded. They've lost that peace of mind. They've lost that confidence in this platform when they put in this twin-turbo V6. If it did have the 5.7-liter V8, that glorious V8 that we have grown to love and really appreciate over the years, if that was an option in this, you tell me, would you buy it? And guys, there's a very clear reason as to why these Gen 2 Toyota Tacomas, their values are skyrocketing because they do have that 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 in it, right? The same one that we had in the 5th generation 4Runner, before they transitioned to the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 in the 3rd gen Tacoma. This Gen 2 really is a masterpiece in so many people's eyes. Imagine if they offered that in that new Tacoma over there. Holy cow. This is actually my first time seeing the new 6th generation Toyota 4Runner Trail Hunter on a dealership lot. And they do look good. I love the look of these, especially in this that Everest color. I think these look incredible. I just refuse to buy one because you only get that hybridized 2.4-liter 4-cylinder underneath the hood, a turbocharged 4-banger underneath the hood that just does not feel right, and it does not feel Toyota to me. And you guys, I don't know, you guys can beat me up all you want, but I want to buy a Toyota just knowing that I have that same level of peace of mind. I want simplicity, I want affordability, and most importantly, I want reliability. Is that much to ask for? Over here we have a TRD off-road right next to it. Just kind of do a side-by-side comparison between the two. I would commit to buying one of these in a heartbeat if it had a 4-liter V6 as an option. Toyota, just bring options. That's what we want. I mean, we see Ram doing it, we see Jeep doing it. They're just presenting options to folks, and that's what we want more than anything. And if we can get this with a naturally aspirated V6 that doesn't cost $70,000 freaking dollars, that would be nice. It is just a shame to see because the top trim TRD Pro just last year, the previous generation anyway, what did that cost? That was about $55,000 to $57,000. But look at that, 70 grand for a 4-cylinder 4Runner. That's our new reality now. Absolutely disgusting. Although it looks good, this would look a lot better at $55,000, $57,000. You tell me. And to be perfectly honest with you, I never loved the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6. I've always really appreciated the 4-liter V6. It just felt like it had a little bit more grunt to it, and I appreciated that. This here, to be fair, had the 6-speed automatic transmission comparatively to the 5-speed automatic that we got in the 5th gen 4Runner. So I think having less gears and the longer gears in the 4Runner kind of helped add to the power delivery, in my opinion. Again, let me be very clear here. You never bought a 4Runner or this Tacoma for excellent power delivery and excellent performance. That was never the intent, but it just felt a little bit better, in my personal opinion, in the 4Runner with the 4-liter and the 5-speed. You guys tell me if you agree. But even then, with that said, I would not complain if we got this engine, even this engine and transmission option combination, in the new 4th gen Tacoma over there. I wouldn't complain. I'd be much happier with this. Tell me the truth, would you buy the new Toyota Sequoia, even at their current price points of generally between that $72,000 and $83,000? Would you buy a new Sequoia if it did come with a 5.7 liter V8 option? Tell me the truth. Just a small piece of advice, whenever you see a used truck with a kind of a random rear bumper replaced, but not the front bumper, generally speaking, if someone's going to be doing it aesthetically and actually trying to change it on purpose, they'll do front and rear. Rarely will an individual do just the back bumper or just the front bumper. And if they are going to do one or the other, it's likely the front bumper over the back. So this is a telltale sign that it had been rear-ended and that back bumper was damaged to some degree and they replaced it and swapped it out. Just something to look out for. Man, that hailstorm really beat up this Tacoma. Yikes. Honestly, I love the fact that the Land Cruiser is still built out of Japan. Obviously, the same for the 6th generation 4Runner, but that to me lends it a ton of style points, and you know it's going to be built exceptionally well. The fit and finish is going to be second to none, and I appreciate that. Everything that I bought out of Japan has always been spectacular. I'd be rolling the dice, of course, with the Tacoma over there. I'd appreciate if they moved it back to San Antonio, Texas, but we can't get what we always beg for. If they did offer that natural aspirated V6, or even that V8 in this Land Cruiser, that's extremely wishful thinking. I know, I would buy it in a heartbeat. How about you? As I'll wrap up the video there, let me know what your thoughts are on this. Would you like to see other vehicle manufacturers start to bring back these larger, naturally aspirated engines again? Would you like to see a GMC Canyon with a natural aspirated V6? You know, Chevy Colorado with that same V6 option? What is it that you'd like to see? Or are you happy with the smaller displacement turbocharged engines being stuffed into everything today? I'll wrap up the video there. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. If you appreciate this type of content whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider like and subscribe. Your support means a ton, and I promise it doesn't go unnoticed. Until next time.